So on the first episode of Gas and Spark, I went through the 10 steps that I go through when I look to buy a budget motorcycle restoration, or kind of what I look for and how it can save you money. And I bought a motorcycle. Let's get it up on the table. I'll walk around and I'll go through the 10 steps and see how closely they came to matching with the perfect kind of bike. Obviously a free bike with all the parts would be the perfect bike, but we'll see how close one from Facebook Marketplace comes and how each step can kind of save you money in the process that we will show actually with this bike. So let's get it up on the table and see what we got. What we have, the 1980 Yamaha Chappy. I'm going to walk through the steps. First one is, what is my goal with it? Honestly, the goal when I was looking through the Facebook Marketplace was to find a Honda, like a monkey bike or something small like that. But those things have been going crazy in prices. So nothing was coming up for like under $2,000 or $1,500, even in any shape. And I came across this ad. And the way I look at motorcycle ads are, I get the model number, the year, and then I go look up what a one in good shape or running on YouTube or whatever. And then I fall in love with that. So whatever that is what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about what I see in the pictures. Everything can be fixed, sanded, rusted, replaced, and it can look like what's in the picture. And man, I wasn't familiar with this because I have a couple of Spanish motorcycles and the Hondas, but I'd never had, it wasn't big into Yamahas. I had a small 1966 Yamaha YG5T that I restored, and I liked it, so I'm familiar with the engine. But Yamahas weren't high up on my list, but this was listed for $550. And once I saw the picture of it like done, I was like, wow, I love that bike. I love the look of it, the pretty cool one. It's road legal, so could be road legal. So the picture I had didn't have a seat, and that's going to break, rule number 4. But I kind of got obsessed. Offered the guy, I think $250, and he took it, and I went and picked it up the next day. So I love the bike. I fell in love with what it could be. So my goals are kind of changing every day, but really it's just a winter project for now and something to show you kind of how it's done. Now I got a little lucky with this. The condition from the picture, it looked awful. It was horrible. It was up against a nasty backdrop. He could have done a lot better to make it look a little better, cleaned it up a little better. But when I got there, it didn't have a seat on the picture either, which is a huge deal. When I got there, he pulled out the seat, which of course is shredded, but the seat pan is good, and that's all I really care about for upholstery. And everything else, looked really good. It's got dirt on it, but I'm not scared of dirt. I'm not scared of a little rust on the handlebars. All the pieces seem to be there. So the condition, I think, is good. And the condition is good because of the pieces that it has. It has the speedometer, speedo cable, front brake. It has the key, which is huge. All the plastic pieces it came with the little piece that goes in front of the battery. It came with a battery. As I said, it had the seat. The shocks are there. The carburetor is being worked on. I'm a little worried about that. The one thing about these bikes, Chappies, it doesn't have a Kickstarter. That notoriously breaks. These are notorious for bad Kickstarters. I see it doesn't have a brake, a rear brake lever, but I think I might have one of those that'll work. The wiring is pretty much intact. Throttle, clutch, all the cables are here. All the hardware's here. Switches, rear light. Of course, the turn signals are not here. They're probably never on any older bike. So one thing is, this did have pedals to begin with. He said they welded them down. I got to take a look at that. And they cut them off and welded them, so they're kind of useless. That's going to be an interesting thing down the road, but that's down the road. The motor, cylinder head looks over. It turns over freely. It has this cover. I'll show you on this side. It does not, and this was a big mistake. Does not have the cover for the flywheel, magneto. Those look to be pretty expensive, but overall, fenders, all the headlights, all the pieces that are going to add up are here. Everything really just needs a good cleaning and a look at. It did have a chain. I thought he threw it in, but it didn't. Probably was going to get a new chain anyways. That's fine. Actually, no foot pegs at all. Muffler is there too. Those things can all add up really quick. The reason I was focused on the seat and the tank. Tank's down here. Tank's plastic. Don't have to worry about that. Obviously, and older, I'm used to kind of the 60s and 70s bikes. And what happens is the tanks and the seats cost more than what you paid for the bike. So your budget restoration is right out the door, right off the bat. But with this coming with a seat and the tank is plastic, so I'm really not worried about that. We're in good shape because these two items, again, can cost you more than you paid for the bike. And at the very end, he said he had the title for it. Came back, so, I consider this a really good score. I know it's going to take some money to restore, but a lot of it's just going to be time, energy, scraping, and everything like that. The tires, they're old. They look good, and they'll do for the restoration. See how close I get it. I'll be able to run it, drive it, and then decide if I want to upgrade the tubes and tires once that happens. Now the engine, he said, how much you trust this. They're just doing some carb work, cleaning out the carbs, but I already know a couple things. One is probably replace the points. I always replace the points, and I usually get a cylinder honed and a new piston, new rings. But I might not in this case. It depends. I got to get it off and take a look at the engine. But the engine, I don't think is going to have that much work. Knock on wood. I mentioned the cables, miscellaneous stuff. Most of it's here. Of course, like I said, chain, the guard for over here, foot pegs, clutch, clutch, lever. Obviously the more you look at it, the more you're going to have to do it. New battery, I'm going to need new batteries. So, I went over what it doesn't have, pretty much. And I really just want to get this done because I want to tear into it. I want to do the next step. I have a whole bunch of steps. The next step in bike restoration is just take everything apart, lay it out on the ground, and then start cleaning every piece. I like to buy bikes that people say, when they first see them, they say, why did you buy that piece of junk? And then without adding anything, just cleaning them up and putting them back together, people start getting really excited about the build. And I don't know how they can't see it. But I see it and I get really excited with just cleaning something up. I love rust and scraping things. And that's an interesting thing that I see about this bike is there's this blue, probably the factory blue down here. Someone just spray painted over with green. And I'm literally just scraping off the green and this beautiful blue. The beautiful blue will be the color of this bike because I'm going to paint obviously all the plastic pieces, nice bright white, the white, blue, shiny chrome. Popping out, it's going to be gorgeous, but that is going to take a while. Just a pain in the ass, but the paint's not sticking, so it's great. So, like I said, I hate wiring. You'll see that on most everything. I absolutely don't understand it, but I get the bikes running, and then wiring is usually the last thing I work on. No air filter, little plastic piece to go from the air filter to the carb, but it has a slide, has a throttle cable, has everything looking good down there. So I'm excited about tearing this apart. I take everything apart, like I said, clean it, put everything back together except the engine, work on the engine on the side, get it running, and then put it all together and then buy the pieces that you need. And that pretty much is what we're going to do with this. You'll see each step. The next video will be this thing just getting torn apart, laid out, and then all the parts cleaned. And the amazing transformation just that makes is oiling things and getting things loosed up. It's great. So where do we go from here? I don't know. I love the Honda Super Cub that I have. Just get on it and go. Sometimes the bikes that you struggle the most with, which I don't know if this is going to be one of them, it may end up being your favorite builds just because of the challenges that you had to get over. So we're going to see where this takes us, but I think this is going to be an awesome little build. Tear down and build, and hopefully get this up and running. Stay tuned for the next part where we tear it all apart. Thanks.